A loser like you probably gets a bonus of about $100, right? I got $50,000, man.
After all, mocking me a lot, Logan asked me like he finished me off. I don't even remember what my monthly income was. My wife, Grace, manages our finances, so I don't keep track of our monthly income. Hearing that, Logan laughed out loud again and said, "Man, how can you live like that? Not even remembering your own salary, your memory must be shot." He said that, looking down on me disrespectfully. Suddenly, a beautiful woman entered the reunion venue and walked straight towards me.
Mr. Miller, as CEO, is $10 million okay for this year's compensation?
"Yay, that's fine." At my words, all my classmates buzzed with astonishment.
$10 million.
Logan looked at me and the woman back and forth with disbelief.
Hey, who is this woman? And what's this about being a CEO? $10 million. What are you talking about?
Logan asked me, clearly confused. "I'm George Miller. I run a company at 55. Our company manages logistics. Simply put, we're in the business of delivering packages purchased online to customers. After a monumental failure in university entrance exams, I attended a local third-tier university and then worked for a local company. But I never quite fit in there either. I stutter, and it gets worse when I'm nervous. Because of this, I was bullied throughout elementary, middle, and high school. Lacking self-confidence and struggling to interact with others, I was harassed at my job and quit after about 6 months. After that, I worked as a freelancer for a while. Being quite proficient with computers, I managed to get by as a systems engineer, earning just enough to live on. I thought I might as well continue freelancing. But then I realized something. I could live without ever stepping outside. I did all my shopping online. The convenience of potentially receiving packages the same day made it all too easy to overspend. I predicted that online shopping would only continue to grow. What would become scarce then were delivery services. With this in mind, I started my own company at 26, managing delivery services. Now, our company has grown to employ over 100 people. However, my stutter hasn't improved, so all the greetings and speeches required of a CEO are handled by my brother, Joseph. Joseph joined my company right after graduating from college. He's now an excellent vice president of our company.
Got the speech for next month's CEO's address ready?
Nah, not yet. Can you do it for me instead? Next month, we have the welcoming ceremony for the new hires. Joseph's going to be taking care of the speeches there too.
I could do it, but you know, it'll be obvious. My writing's pretty childish, and I can't wrap things up as neatly as you can. Plus, the new employees probably want to hear from you.
Joseph has always thought highly of me. Being 5 years younger might play a part, but he's such a dear brother who always looks up to me. Got it. I'll write it up by today.
Thanks. By the way, isn't your high school reunion tomorrow? Are you really going? You don't have to, you know.
It's understandable for Joseph to be worried because I was bullied in high school as well. So, I don't have many fond memories of that time. Yay, some close friends of mine will be there, and I want to see them. Well, if I want to leave, I can just leave.
if you say so. But if anything happens, just come right away.
Joseph is a bit overprotective of me, a trait he got from our mom. Because of my stutter, my mom always worried and accompanied me everywhere. Naturally, Joseph always came along, so that overprotectiveness towards me is probably ingrained in him. Thanks, I replied and went back to my work. The next day, I was getting ready for the reunion. Lacking any sense of fashion, my wife, Grace, helped me pick out an outfit.
Yay, that looks good. You're tall, so everything suits you.
Grace is another person who thinks highly of me. Thanks. I feel more confident hearing that from you.
It suits you really well. You can come back whenever today. Just don't drink too much. Joseph is dropping you off at the place, right?
Seems like it. Joseph's overprotectiveness is in full swing today. Soon after, Joseph came to pick me up, and we headed to the reunion venue. By this age, I've somewhat gotten used to being looked down upon for my stutter. I figured I'd just talk to the people I wanted to talk to at the reunion. That was what I thought. Today was a reunion for my class during senior year of high school. There weren't any bullies from that class. But as we arrived at the venue, my eyes widened in surprise. Seeing my reaction, Joseph looked where I was looking. There was Logan, who had persistently bullied me during my sophomore year.
What? Why is he here?
Joseph knew Logan as well. After all, the situation with Logan had escalated to the point where our parents had to get involved, so Joseph was familiar with him.
George, that's Logan, right? He wasn't supposed to come today.
No, but
Maybe we should just leave.
Joseph seemed to prefer keeping me away from Logan and tried to take me back home. I managed to convince Joseph, and we entered the venue. My good friend, Steve, was already inside the place. I sat down next to Steve. Why is Logan here? He wasn't in our class senior year.
Some guy who was friends with Logan just invited him without asking. Seriously annoying.
Since Steve and I have been friends since sophomore year, he's well aware of Logan. Steve always stood up for me, but he never directly received any harassment from Logan. But it seems Logan left a bad impression on Steve too. As the reunion got underway, I was having a good time catching up with Steve. Logan didn't bother me and was engrossed in conversation with another group. I thought the reunion would end without incident. With that thought, I headed to the restroom. There, I ran into Logan.
Huh, aren't you Stutter Man?
Stutter Man was the nickname Logan used for me. It was a nickname given to mock my stutter, and Logan and his friends always called me by it. Hey, 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 long time. Standing in front of Logan, I got so nervous that I stuttered beautifully. Logan burst into laughter upon hearing me.
That's what I thought. You are Stutter Man. Well, you haven't changed at all. Still living every day with your stutter. That cracks me up.
Logan was patting my shoulder, laughing. Stop it. All I could do was weakly respond, wishing I could escape the situation.
Let's grab a drink at least. You flanked your college entrance exams and ended up at a terrible university, right? I want to hear all about that.
This is hell. That was my only thought as I looked up to the sky. Logan forcibly dragged me back to the reunion table. Seeing Logan and me return together, Steve rushed over with a worried look.
Hey, Logan, what are you doing to George? Back off.
Here comes the shadow. I'm not doing anything, just catching up on old times since it's the reunion. You go drink over there. I want to drink with Stutter Man.
Saying so, Logan shoved Steve, causing him to fall on his behind.
You.
Steve, it's okay. I'll just talk for a bit, then come back. I managed to stutter out a response, indicating for Steve to go back without me. Once Logan sets his mind on something, he won't budge. I didn't know what he wanted to talk about, but I figured he'd be satisfied after a little while. Steve looked worried as he returned to his seat.
So, did you even graduate college? Your friends must have found you creepy, right?
That's how Logan continued to mock my stutter, while his entourage laughed loudly, turning the reunion into a nightmare for me. I ended up telling them about my life after high school. I ended up telling Logan and his friends about my life after high school, just as they said. How I failed my college entrance exams and endured 4 terrible years at a lousy university, and how I struggled to find a job due to my stutter, only to quit the company I finally joined after half a year. Logan and his friends were thrilled with my misfortunes.
Seriously, I've never met such a loser before. So, you quit your job and became an unemployed. That's insane. Surely, you're still unemployed.
No, I'm working now, but
Good for you, finding a company desperate enough to hire a loser like you.
laughing crudely, Logan kept slapping my back, and the surrounding laughter made my head spin. I just wanted to leave as soon as possible.
I went to a pretty good university, so I landed a job at a top company. Our pay is amazing, and I actually feel sorry for you.
Hey, can we stop? I want to talk to Steve over there. Growing increasingly uncomfortable, I tried to excuse myself, but Logan was laughing so hard he was crying.
But before you go, just tell me this. What's your monthly income? A loser like you probably gets a bonus of about $100, right? I got $50,000, man.
I don't even remember what my monthly income was. Since Grace handles our salary, I have no idea how much is being deposited each month. Hearing this, Logan laughed out loud again. Man, how can you live like that? Not even remembering your own salary, your memory must be shot. He said this, looking down on me disdainfully. Can I leave now?
Wait a minute. We're not done talking, are we?
That's not what he said. I feel like crying. Why did this happen? I just wanted to see my old classmates that I got along with after so long. Suddenly, a beautiful woman entered our reunion venue. All the men were gaping at her.
Who is this lady? She's stunning.
Logan was clearly smitten by the woman, who had the aura of an actress. She walked straight towards me.
Mr. Miller, I need to discuss something important with you.
Oh, yay. What is it? Seeing the woman talking to me, Logan looked at me with a puzzled expression.
Mr. Miller, as CEO, is $10 million an appropriate compensation for this year?
Yay, that's fine. Hearing this, all my classmates buzzed with astonishment.
$10 million.
Logan looked at me, and the woman back and forth in disbelief.
Hey, stutter man, who's she? And what's this about you being a CEO? $10 million.
Logan was clearly confused, not knowing what to ask.
I am Emily, George's executive assistant at the company, led by him. The vice president asked me to urgently confirm this matter regarding compensation.
Joseph.
Yes.
Why Joseph suddenly wanted to confirm my compensation now. But the atmosphere changed completely, and I finally felt I could breathe properly.
Hey, stutter man, explain. What's this joke about you being a CEO? How much did you pay her to pretend? It's all an act, right?
How can someone be so cynical?
So, you're Logan.
Emily said understandingly, looking at Logan with a cold gaze.
What's up with that?
It looks like you've been underestimating George. Do you even know what kind of company he runs and its revenue? George has achieved and earned far more than you can.
Emily is an excellent secretary, but she's known for having strong likes and dislikes. Her arguments with Joseph over me are a common sight in the office. Embarrassingly, those arguments are often about who cares for me more.
I can't forgive you ruined the reunion that George was looking forward to. I hate men like you, who are scum of the earth, the most in the world.
Logan is visibly hurt by being called the most hated by a beautiful woman.
As a man, you're truly worthless. Is it fun living like that? Don't look at me with such a stupid face.
Emily doesn't hold back when she dislikes someone. Being harshly criticized by her like this seems so tough that countless male employees have left because of it. Hey, cut it out. Seriously, Joseph, what is he thinking sending Emily here all of a sudden? As I said, so tilting my head, Joseph entered the room at just the right moment.
Hey, Logan, it's like you treated George so well, huh?
Joseph's manner of speaking was completely thuggish. As soon as he entered, Joseph was fuming, and I was even more confused about what was happening. As for Logan, after being scorned by Emily and shouted at by Joseph, he looked like he was about to cry. Joseph, what got into you all of a sudden?
Come on, I heard everything Logan was saying to you. I can't take it anymore. I've always thought I could never forgive him.
You heard what? Completely bewildered, I was stunned.
I called Joseph. I thought I couldn't handle it on my own. I kept the phone on so Joseph could listen to the entire conversation between you and Logan.
Finally, everything clicked, and I understood. So, Steve had called Joseph and kept the phone on for him. Joseph, having listened to the entire conversation, got angry at me being mocked and deliberately asked Emily to confirm the compensation.
I wish I could have come sooner, but I was putting my daughter to bed. Sorry I'm late, but you can leave the rest to me.
I could have handled it by myself.
Emily snapping at Joseph is the usual scene.
Well, I have a role as a brother. I can forgive this guy for saying terrible things to my important brother and ruining the reunion.
Joseph's tone might be gentle, but his gaze never leaves Logan, showing a determination not to let him get away.
What the heck? Stutter man is a CEO. The guy who could only get into a third-rate university can't possibly have a decent job, especially with that way of speaking.
Stop calling him that. Stutter or not, my brother is more capable than any company president.
Joseph was about to pounce on Logan, which made him shocked and shut his mouth.
George's company is a logistics company that transports packages for online shopping. Do you know how many people are trying to start companies in this field now? It's apparently very profitable, so everyone's jumping into it. George started his company before online shopping became a trend, predicting this industry would hit big.
I remember my coworker doing something similar.
Nowadays, starting a logistics subsidiary is said to be profitable. Because you can start with just yourself and a vehicle, the low initial cost is one of the reasons.
But you can't expect huge profits from a subsidiary. Without enough hands, you can't transport many packages. That's where the big companies have an advantage.
Joseph continued proudly, as if it were his own achievement.
That big company is the one George started. A few years after he founded the company, that pandemic hit. Because of it, the demand for online shopping skyrocketed, and so did our sales. Of course, my brother's compensation would reach $10 million.
Joseph's words had Logan and everyone else, except Steve, who knew about my job, wide-eyed and speechless. I had told Steve about my job, but I hadn't mentioned it to the other classmates.
Your bonus was $50,000. Well, that's pretty good for you, isn't it? But you really picked the wrong person to mess with. George is on a whole different level. You've always looked down on him, but you're not even close to his level.
Joseph vented years of pent-up resentment towards Logan.
What the heck? You are just stutter man. You can even say anything yourself, since always. Even now, you've had your brother step up and protect you. Don't you feel ashamed?
Logan was still not convinced, glaring at me. Joseph and Emily's gaze turned even colder.
We defend George because we have been helped by him so much.
What?
Steve, who had been silent, chimed in.
You called me a shadow earlier. Right. That's exactly right. But do you understand why I choose to follow George?
I don't know, and I don't care.
Logan answered, clearly annoyed.
George's way of thinking is truly amazing. He thinks completely differently from us, normal folks. Plus, he's incredibly smart, always teaching us stuff.
This guy could only get into a third-rate university, and his grades weren't that great either.
Indeed, my school grades were always around the upper middle.
George only failed his university entrance exams because he was sick that day. He always said he kept his grades in the upper middle on purpose. Only close friends knew, but George always ranked first in national mock exams.
Don't make stuff up. Ranking first in national mock exams, that's just talk.
Then, voices around us started saying, so that George was the George Miller, who ranked first in the national mock exams every time.
I never thought it was this George. I always thought the George Miller, who was always first in the national mock exams, was someone with the same name.
George operates on a completely different level from us. School grades don't matter to him, good or bad. And it didn't matter to him which university he went to, because he knows he's talented. That's an undeniable fact.
Being praised like this is embarrassing, and I never shared these thoughts with anyone. But realizing Steve understood all this without me saying anything made me feel warm inside, grateful for such a good friend.
Take back everything you said about George having a bad memory and being stupid.
I had never seen Steve so angry before. Logan seemed a bit intimidated, avoiding eye contact, but he didn't apologize.
Logan Smith, You're a department manager at a system company, right? Come to think of it, that's one of the companies George still does business with, isn't it?
Emily, who had been busy searching for something on her tablet, spoke up. Yay, we still get requests from that company to do the final checks on their systems.
What are you talking about?
Logan was visibly shaken, not only by the mention of his company and position, but also by the revelation that his company was doing business with me. After leaving my previous job, I worked as a freelance system developer for a while. During that time, I got requests from your company and worked with them continuously. They kept asking me to join the company, promising a good position, but I always turned them down. Logan listened to me, dumbfounded. Even after starting my own company, they asked me to continue checking their complex systems, and that's the only task I've kept doing for them.
The talk about outsourcing. Only the high-difficulty system checks to someone. It was actually you.
Logan looked at me in disbelief.
So, essentially, George holds a higher position even in your company, Logan. I've sent recordings of all the rude things you said about him to your company.
What?
Logan was stunned by Emily's declaration.
What the hell are you doing? This is private stuff. That's crazy.
The only crazy one here is definitely you.
Joseph dismisses Logan, who was angrily crying, with a single retort.
I wonder how your company will react. Will they choose you or the irreplaceable talented system checker? Though, it's pretty clear what they'll decide.
Joseph looked triumphantly at Logan. In tears, Logan panicked and then clung to me.
George, please say something. Your brother and secretary are really crazy.
While I was surprised that Logan called my name for the first time, I sighed. You were saying how embarrassing it must be to have Joseph, Emily, and Steve stand up for me while I can say anything myself, right? But what about you? Logan looked utterly confused by my question. I've got folks who back me up when I'm insulted, but you. Looks like you're on your own, Logan. Now that's really something to be embarrassed about. Laughter erupted from those around us. Well, you just picked the wrong people to mess with this time. These two are unpredictable when it comes to me. Logan, his face red with embarrassment, silently left the venue. I sighed again, sorry for the commotion. Let's get back to our drinks, and sat back down next to Steve. As expected, the next day, Logan's company's CEO called me offering a heartfelt apology. Emily's response, dismissing the need for a personal apology in favor of seeing how the company would handle Logan, left me thinking I never wanted to cross her. And before the day was over, we were informed that Logan had been fired. Following that, unknown numbers bombarded our company, quickly identified as Logan's and blocked. After being suddenly fired, his wife demanded a divorce, and Logan went back to live at his parents' house, living a modest life, as Joseph mentioned. Thought about ruining his parents' house too, but let's leave it, Joseph mused, which honestly gave me chills, though I knew neither he nor Emily would do anything illegal. As for me, I continue to work, supported by Emily and Joseph. Steve mentioned at the reunion how they defend me because I've helped them, but I feel like I've only been helped by them. I mused while working. Hearing this, Emily and Joseph shared a look and laughed.
I think you and I agree on this one.
I think so too.
Confused by their agreement, I just tilted my head.
Being able to work in the same company as you is incredibly valuable. Seriously, it's inspiring every day. You're a real genius, George.
Even if my salary were cut to 1/10, I'd still want to work here. Working with you changes my perspective on life.
They said joyfully, but all I could respond was, "Is that so?" However, knowing that these two, whom I deeply trust, feel this way, it must really be true. I made a promise to myself to be someone worth following, someone they can believe in,